Good morning. Welcome to Earth and Sky. Thank you so much for joining here. We are finally getting into spring. We are almost in summer, depending on how you look at the year. You might see us in summer currently, or you might prefer to go on the geological summer. But whatever it is, we want to definitely welcome you to Earth and Sky. Just one announcement, all of the Reiki classes for Reiki Level 1 are full currently. If you are interested in starting with Shoden, which is the Holy Fire Level 1 class, let me know and I'll get you waitlisted for upcoming classes. And we have a lot of exciting things going on, but today we're talking about the full moon. Last year, we were talking about all of the different celebrations, the Sabbats and the aspects that we have through the year, and this year we're talking about each of the moon cycles. So this is the 5th full moon that we've had this year. Plus we've had the blue moons that have been sprinkled in there as well. We had 2 blue moons this year, which was quite unprecedented. That won't happen for decades to come, actually. I believe it's 2036 is the next time we get 2 in the same year. They were in January and in March this year. But right now, we're going to talk about the full flower moon, which is really quite a beautiful time. I think a lot of people are pretty excited that they're seeing the essence and elements of spring coming up. So why did it get the full flower moon name? And how does that apply to your life? If you think back, when we started talking about the moon in January, we talked about the full wolf moon. And that's that moon. A lot of the names of the moons were named by the Native Americans. And so if you can picture yourself back maybe a couple hundred years ago, and you imagine that you're out in your community, you're surrounded by the ones that you love, and it's cold outside, it's in the harshness of winter, and you're inside your tent and you hear off in the distance the wolves that are howling because they're starting to get hungry. It's that time of year where food is a bit more scarce, not just for the wolves, but for you as well. And so we've gotten through that cold, harsh wolf moon in January. Sometimes that moon is known as the cold moon. I think you can figure out why it's called the cold moon. And then we fast forwarded into February where we had the snow moon, and that's where the snow piled up high all around us. Native Americans used these names as a point of reference for the calendar because as they followed the moon phase, they also knew where they were in the seasons. That helped them know when it was going to be time to plant. It helped them know how to plan within their own community as well. So we made it through quite a snowy winter in Michigan this year, and throughout a lot of the U.S., wherever you are, a lot of places got hit with that snow moon in February. And then we moved along into March where we had the worm moon, and that's where the snow is finally starting to melt. And if you're in an area where you have a lot of rain, you've probably noticed as it rains, the worms start to surface through the ground. Some of them quite long, some of them are smaller, but they crawl everywhere after the rain, sidewalks, grass, everywhere. So it's not a wonder why it was called the worm moon. And then we moved into the pink moon. And the pink moon tradition quite frequently is the moon that comes right before Easter, because typically the first full moon, well, it's always the first full moon after the spring equinox is the moon that will set when Easter will be. This year, it was actually a blue moon that we had before Easter because the pink moon didn't happen until later in the month. So the blue moon set the date for Easter, but the pink moon was that time of year where you start to see the budding of the flowers and you see the pink just starting to sprout, and people feel that joy that starts to come alive as we've made it through winter. We survived it. We can go outside again. We can plant and play and see our neighbors again because we're not freezing and wrapped under blankets in the house. And so that's how we got the name of the pink moon. Well, this is the full flower moon because all of those pink buds that we had last month, all of those little seedlings that had started to sprout are flowering now. And we have such an abundant variety. I was driving around today with friends and we saw so many flowers and trees that were flowering and all over the place, these beautiful flowers. And so you can really relate this into your life because in life we have so many different seasons and so many different aspects and times that we can figure out when to plant things. As we talked about planting with the wheel of the year, we talked about when you can plant the seeds in your life and when you really want to nurture them and harvest them. Well, you can do that same thing with the moon phases too. So if you're following the seasons, then you're noticing that the seeds that you planted in the early part of the year started to sprout a little last month, and now this month you're probably seeing projects are starting to take underway. If you're in the garden, you're noticing that those things that you're gardening are starting to come up. You're seeing a little bit of that reward with the beauty that's coming up from the earth. And this moon is also known as the corn planting moon and the milk moon because there were several different Native American tribes. They didn't all have the same name for the moon. They came up with whatever was in their area, and that's the custom that they would know. And anytime you have full moon energy, whatever moon it is you're in, people will often feel restless. They actually did a study and found that people on average get about 20 minutes less sleep per night when they're coming up to the full moon, which makes sense if you're a little more tired, if you're a little more emotional or a little more grouchy or whatever your emotions feel like. When we've talked about the full moon in some of the other months, we talked about how at a lot of the hospitals and any of the emergency centers or 911 or any of those, their calls go way up and they get a lot of kind of crazy calls that happen, a lot of things that don't happen during the rest of the month. And some of that might be a little bit of that sleep deprivation. Some of that might be just the hyperactivity that the moon gives us too, because the reason we get that sleep deprivation is because we're hyper and we're just a little bit more excited as we tune into that full moon energy. But this right now, the way you can use it in your life is recognizing that this is the time that the earth is the most fertile. That's why you're planting at this time of year, because the soil is ready, the season is ready, the sun is here to start warming those crops, the rains are coming to nurture and feed those crops, and the earth is very fertile. And the earth can be very fertile for you as well, for whatever ideas you have, whatever seeds you're wanting to plant within your life, whatever ideas you have. If you're out planting in the garden during this time of year, it's a good idea to plant with intention and to think about, maybe look up what the flowers mean that you're planting, see what those meanings are, and if they apply to your life, then plant with that intention. And as you're putting those seeds or the start of the flowers down into the earth, then imagine that you're planting that intention, and as it grows, be grateful and recognize that that intention is pouring into your life right now. Every single flower and every single tree and plant has a meaning. So you can look up the Old English versions of those and use that to your advantage and plant with magic. So you're creating magic within your life simply by creating that intention, putting it into the earth, and allowing the earth to nurture you in as well. And then after you've done that in the garden, or if you're not a gardener, just skip on over to step 2. And step 2 would be that you turn that attention inward and you start recognizing that it's time for you to be fertile as a person. It's time for you to open up to the ability to have joy flowing into you, to the ability to reach whatever your heart's desire is. You have to name it, just like if you're planting, you have to know what you're planting, and you have to know what you want to draw into your life. So use this fertile time and turn that attention inward, and then imagine within yourself that you're using the rays of the sun. Every day you're walking around outside, use those rays of the sun to nurture you. We are living creatures, just like trees and plants and flowers are living creatures, and we can use that sun to nurture us, to energize us. You can also use the moon to nurture you and energize you. If you prefer the moon over the sun, then use that. You have to be out in the energy, whichever energy you prefer. Be out in it and feel it as it warms your back. Feel it as it hits your face. And then as you walk on the earth, feel the nutrients of the earth beneath your feet. It's a great idea to go walk barefoot outside because you can really just tap into and feel yourself as though you're grounding in with the earth. If that makes you squeamish and you're not a barefoot walker, then you can do it with your shoes on. But I'd encourage you to at least try walking barefoot outside and see how it feels, and just imagine that you're allowing that earth energy to flow up through you as though you are one of the plants and one of the flowers that is blooming so abundantly around you, because you can tap into all of these little things to really add that zest into your own life. And then once you're starting to do that, then begin to breathe in the life energy around you and just use that to increase your energy. Use that to cleanse yourself. The full moon is also a great time for cleansing and purging and letting go as you're creating this wave of abundance that comes in. When we're at the new moon phase, that's when we've released and we've let go of everything. And when the moon is at its new point and it starts to wax up to full, then we're planting our intentions and we're bringing in those thoughts, and you're nurturing and getting ready and preparing. Well, when it gets to the full phase, then that's a great time for gratitude, because even if you don't feel like you have exactly what it is you want, you have something that you can be grateful for. And when you're grateful for what is in progress in your life, that is one of the best things and the best ways to see more abundance of life flowing to you. Because when you recognize wherever you're at and you're grateful for that progress, it's really going to do a lot for opening your eyes to seeing the new opportunities that come your way as well. And the universe is going to continue blessing you, especially if you're feeling that gratitude for whatever you have, even if you feel like it's very little compared to what it is you want. Feel gratitude for what you have. Use this new moon energy. Go out under the full moon and just stare up at her face and just feel gratitude. Feel the joy of being alive and allow that light. Know that you are not alone. If you feel like you don't have that joy in your life, go up and look under the moonlight and know that you are not alone. That there are so many people on this planet going through all kinds of different things. And at the full moon, a lot of times it stirs up all of those things. It stirs up anything that is emotional within you. The light of the moon casts its light on the shadows and on the deepest part of us so that we can uncover it, so we can see it and look at it and examine it within the light, so we can let go of fear, we can let go of shame, we can let go of guilt or worry by facing it instead of escaping it. So a lot of times people will try to run from whatever is in their shadows, and it's still following you. If you're just running from it, it's still going to be right behind you. You're going to feel like you're being chased down by it until you address it. So use this time. The moon right now is in Sagittarius, which makes it a great time for facing your fear, for facing and addressing whatever things you need to have addressed. If you have things that haven't been taken care of, if you have things that amends that you need to make with people or situations, this is the perfect moon to do that while the moon is in Sagittarius and while you have her full light shining down on you, illuminating, awakening, and showing you whatever you need to see. Because when you use that light to see whatever's underneath, that's a great way to explore. And when you explore, you can find the depths within yourself so that you can grow, so you can truly be the person that you really want to be. The flower moon also really helps us shed our outer skin so that we can bloom. Just as flowers, when they're budding and they're starting to sprout up, usually they have the petals underneath that are hiding them, and it's almost like that outer skin. If you feel like you have some things in your personality where you try to show that you're one person to people, but inside you don't really feel like you're that person, this is the moon to address that and to let those flower petals just kind of start to open and cascade down so you can bloom and truly be who you are. Be authentic, be genuine, be who you are, and be proud of who you are. This is the moon to really do that. The full moon is a fantastic time to clean, clear, and smudge, because anytime we have that hyper roller coaster of emotions, because the light's shining down on us, if you clean out your space, if you smudge your space, and you really, whether you're using sage or Palo Santo wood or whatever it is that you want to use, you can use that to just clear the energy out and create space within yourself. Create space within your house, your life, within your soul. And a lot of times when we have this full moon light, you can actually see, you can feel like your house gets energetically cluttered. Just like within your personality, you feel like there's so much going on and you're feeling this range of emotions. Sometimes it feels like your house kind of is pulsing with that same energy and closing in. If it feels like that, then Palo Santo wood or sage, something like that. Light a candle with the intention of it clearing and burning out any of that excess energy. It will really work so well. And then another thing that you can do with the full moon that really is great is to, as I talked about, feeling gratitude for what you have, but also realize what you want to release. A burning bowl exercise is fantastic for the full moon, where you write down something you're ready to let go of, because at the full moon we've manifested, we're in this height of whatever you were creating during that lunar cycle coming in. So it's time to clear space. Every time we bring something in, it's time to clear space and create space for something new. So the full moon is that perfect time to write down whether it's a fear that you have, or whether it's a concern you have, or whatever it is. Maybe it's people in your life. Maybe it's a bad habit that you have. Write it down and then look at it on the paper, and you might want to fold it or crumple it up or whatever feels right to you, and then burn it in a bowl, light it, and you can actually see another way to examine yourself and to examine your own life with that is to also look at how it's burning. So if when you're burning it, if it begins to suddenly light really fast and that paper is up in smoke so fast, you can take that as confirmation that you were so ready to let that go, and the universe is right behind you and it knows you were ready to let it go. And there's a lot of power in that. If you light it and it's a slow burn and it takes a little while to get it lit and it just kind of slowly goes down the paper and you watch and wait and watch and wait and watch and wait, that's okay too, because that means that it's something you're kind of holding on to, but you want to let it go, but part of you's not quite ready to let it go, but you're doing this ritual to help you, and the universe is helping you through that. It's a great way to get that mirror on yourself and see that light that shines. So it's a fun exercise to do as well. The colors for this moon are red, orange, and yellow. So then that also correlates. If you're wanting to use stones to celebrate this moon, you can use ruby, you could use orange calcite, amber, citrine, garnet, any of those kinds of colored stones. Ruby, amber, and garnet are particularly powerful for this moon. So if you're looking for that big extra oomph, if you're lighting that paper and it's going really slow, maybe you want to add in one of those extra stones to help you feel the ability to release it as well, to give you the confidence and to empower you, knowing that it's a great thing to let it go too, and that good things are on the horizon. When you let it go, more things will come in that will help. And other ways to celebrate, so every moon has its own herbs and flowers and trees. And there's so many different elements that come in with every single moon. This one is one of my favorites because the herbs are cinnamon and mint, which are really, really good herbs. Mint is really great for purifying, for cleansing, for giving you an energy boost. Cinnamon is a really protective herb. It's also great for abundance. If you're trying to draw money in specifically, cinnamon is great for that. It also gives you protection if you feel like you need a little extra of that. So if you use cinnamon and mint together, it's going to give you that extra energy towards that. Mint is also great for mental clarity. And the tree for this moon is the hawthorn tree, and the element for this moon is fire. So it's a really, quite specifically, a great moon to try that burning bowl, to release whatever it is you want to release. And you can do that, I prefer on the actual night of the full moon, but you can do it the night before or the night after, whatever you prefer. It's great if you can be outside looking up at the moon, or if you can't be outside in a place where you feel comfortable, then go to a window that faces the moon if you can, and just allow that moonlight to shine on your face and feel whatever energies you feel like she's bringing to you, illuminating and bringing that extra peace and that extra energy to you. Because the moon is in Sagittarius, it's a really good time to take risks too. So it's a good time to start something new. Stop procrastinating. That's the big thing with Sagittarius. You might feel like this moon is giving you kind of a kick in the butt to start moving forward with something and to let go and stop procrastinating. Just make a decision and run forward with it, whatever it is, because you can take those risks right now. It's also important to balance those risks. So while yes, you're taking risks, you also want to balance that you're being safe in the process as well. You don't have to be quite as cautious as you normally are, because sometimes we need to take that leap to go forward. It's a great moon to start learning something new as well. If you have anything that you've been wanting to learn lately, this is the perfect moon to start learning under, because that energy will really flow through that whole process of whatever it is you're deciding to learn. Remember that balance is so important too. You don't want to just escape something by starting something new, because if you're trying to escape and avoid something and just start something new so you don't have to look at what you were doing over there, then whatever's over here is going to catch up with you. It will find you with the next new moon as she shines her light into those deeper, darker spots within you, into those shadows within you. So go ahead and address whatever you've been needing to address. Feel that light impacting you and shining that light on you. Find the balance, take the risk, and move forward. That burning bowl, going outside, planting your feet in the earth and feeling either the sunlight or the moonlight shining down on you. I hope this helps you, give you a little bit of inspiration with how you can make this full moon really work for you and assist you in your life, how you can use the lunar cycles to move forward in your life. And I hope you have a fantastic week. The full moon is on Tuesday, this last Tuesday in May, and I will look forward to seeing you next week. If you haven't already, please like our Facebook page. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you would like to get our videos on your own schedule, whether you want to see all of them or you want an occasional notification, hit the bell button next to the YouTube subscribe button, and you can choose however often you want to receive our videos. If you feel like you enjoyed this video, please share it out with your friends, and I will see you next week.